All right, good morning, everybody, and here we are again with coffee and questions. And somebody had asked me, and I saw it posted on the forum. It wasn't asked me directly, but hey, how do you make fishing pole holders? You know, whether it's for your boat or whether you drive them into the ground. And I thought, well, I'll do a quick video. I'll throw it up there for everybody on the forum and all my subscribers, and I'll show you a way or several ways that you can do this yourself. It's not hard to do. You can do it out of scrap steel. And you might show them around to friends. They may want them. You might make a few dollars doing it. It's very possible because it's a very handy thing to have. So if you like fishing and you don't mind going out and rooting around through your scrap steel, I'll show you ways that you can do this, and then take pictures, show them to your friends, and try to sell some. Okay, let's get right after it. Here we go. First pictures. Okay, let's take a look at this first one right here. This one's made out of some rectangular scrap steel, little piece of plate, and some round tube steel. Now you can even go out to Lowe's, Home Depot, get yourself some round black pipe, and you can do the same thing. And they even sell the square steel and some of the plate steel there, but this is very pricey when it comes to buying it at Home Depot or Lowe's. So I would tell you to find a steel supplier somewhere near you, or a recycling place or something like that, and old bed frames, whatever you can get a hold of. Cut them up and make yourself, like a supply of steel. It's going to be far cheaper than buying this stuff shiny and new at Home Depot or Lowe's. Anyway, that's just a quick thought. Anyway, going back to this, let's take a look at this. Now, this was a good idea. Now, you could drill holes in this and mount it to something, or you could continue down with a stake that comes to a point and drive it into the ground. Either way, it makes a nice holder. Anyway, it's a very simple one to make, something for you to think about, and you can tweak it, like I said, any way you want. These are just giving you ideas. Let's move on. Okay, let's take a look at the one over here on the far left. Let's take a look at the one over here on the far left. This is just made out of some horseshoes and some cold rolled steel rod. Real simple to do. You can make a drink holder like he did, but again, it goes down probably to a point, and it's got that little cross piece if you look in the grass. So he can drive this down into the ground and just leave it there on the shore front or the river front or whatever he's doing. So this was a pretty quick, easy way to do it too. Let's take a look at the one in the middle. Now this one, you're going to have to do some bending. There's some cold rolled steel here, probably, I'm guessing around 3/8. I mean, it's probably all you need if you're lake fishing or something. You might want to make it stronger if it's something for the ocean, but you can see where he probably heated this up, and around an anvil, bent those round loops. And you could do the same configuration, and once you got it, you can just replicate it over and over. Now, he did 4, and he's got them mounted on a steel, rectangular piece of steel, and then he affixes it to whatever his boat or whatever he's got. But then he's got multiple poles that way. Pretty good idea. Let's take a look at the one over on the far right. Far right is some old bed frame rails or, angle iron. And he brought it to a point, you can see in that first picture, to drive it into the ground. And then he put that round sleeve on there, and then he took a piece of round pipe, cut it in half, and he put it in the upper portion. He just drops his pole right down into it. That's a fast, easy idea. It's fast to use. If you're out fishing, like I said, on the on the bank or the shore or whatever, you could just drive it into the ground real quickly, and boom, put your pole in there. So that's a pretty good design. Okay, let's take a look at the one on the upper left. Now, this is not exactly the way I do this. I think you put way too much effort into making these, but you can. Now, he's got that piece of pipe, or you can use cold rolled, solid steel coming down. Let's say it's 3/8 or 1/2 inch, whatever you find. And then you can see where he begins to go to the holder. It looks like there's a bolt there, like an adjustment for tilting it. Now, that's a pretty good idea. Whether or not you really need that, I don't know. But now, up here, you can see where he took a piece of plate, like across that half pipe, and he welded it, or he tack welded it there. That way he can slip the pole in from the front down, and if it's tilted, if the fish is pulling forward, it's not going to take your pole. Now, you can do the same thing with just black pipe, that ABS, or you can go out to the steel supplier and buy just round, black pipe, and you can turn around and cut a section out of it, and then turn around and cut it in half, and then weld that little plate over the top of it. It doesn't have to be anything like showroom. I mean, as long as it's functional and it's working for you, that's great. Now, if you want to make that little bracket and put a little bolt in there like he did, And then that way, you can angle it up or down. I mean, that's probably a good idea depending on your application. Let's take a look at the one over on the right. You can see where he used piping to make his stand, and he's got a flange that secures down to the plywood, and he can just put lag bolts or whatever he wants to secure it. Okay, then you can come up over here, and he's using pipe clamps to begin what he's going to create, as the fishing pole holder. And then he's just got steel that comes up, and he bent the first one like just as a hook, and the other one as a U. And you can take a look at the third picture in where he's got a little piece that sticks out, and then the pole set in there, and then the handle to the back where that hook is. So, I mean, that's a good idea. I mean, it looks clean, it looks nice, I suppose. I mean, and he put it for 4 poles. Now, you can make it for 1, 2, 3. Tweak the design, do it how you want, but I thought this was a pretty clever idea in the way that he did it. So, the one in the middle here on the bottom, well, this is just cold rolled steel bent. And this is another very simple one. It comes down to a spike like the picture on the upper left to drive it into the ground. So you can make it as simple as this. You can make it a little bit more elaborate like the picture on the upper right and spend a little bit more time with it, and then you can make it any way you want. These are just to give you ideas. Like I said, let me change to the last set of pictures. We'll wrap this up. Okay, this is the last set of pictures because somebody said, well, you can also make them out of PVC if you don't have a welder or any basic tools to do cutting and stuff. You're right, you can. You can get a pair of big PVC cutters, Cobalt, I think rigid. A lot of people make them out at Home Depot and Lowe's. You can buy the PVC. Take a look in the picture on the upper left. Now, this was a pretty slick way of doing it. He got a steel or a metal flange from Home Depot, Lowe's. He went ahead and he put the fittings on there, and he created the one that's coming vertical out of pipe. And then he went to this Y connection, and this will give him the support that he needs for the pole. Take a look at the one over on the left. This guy just put very simple cut round PVC. He affixed it to some kind of a backing. It looks like some kind of a sheet metal or something. And he's going to secure it to the side of his boat to drop those 5 poles into. Now that'll work for him. It's very basic, very simple and fast. The one on the bottom here, I like. It's nice looking. It's going to take you a little bit more time, of course. But he's got that same pipe flange that you can buy out at any of the stores. You can get that black ABS piping. You don't need to cut it. If you want to make it out of steel, you can screw it into the base where it's coming up. You can take a nut actually inside of there and just tack weld it in there so that that bolt that you see on the top goes down through it, and you can tighten it. Now that PVC, you can see where he cut it in half, or maybe just a little bit greater than half, and then he turned around with like a hole saw and he cut both those holes in there. And then he used some sandpaper, I was reading, and he took down the edges and got a little burry things off. This I thought was real clean, and it looks nice if you have a place to mount it. Those are my thoughts. These are the pictures for you. You guys can decide yourself on, how you want to make them, or hey, it's a good idea, you want to make one for yourself, or, show them to your friends and try to make some money, off of making them for them, because they are very handy. Okay, any questions here before I wrap this up? One of the questions is, what diameter PVC do I buy? Well, you can buy this white PVC. You can get that ABS stuff that's black. It doesn't matter. It's going to cost you more if you do the black. But I don't know. I mean, I have never made any of these out of PVC. Never. I can tell you how they're made. It's fairly easy. Everything is readily available at Lowe's and Home Depot. I would tell you take a look anywhere 2-inch, 2.5, 3-inch. I don't know. It didn't say in any of the descriptions, but look at what's going to work for you and what you think your pole is going to fit into. That's my advice because I just haven't made them. Any other questions? Okay, so your question is, how do I hold the nut inside of the round pipe to weld it? Well, I have a MIG welder, so I fill in the hole almost up to where it's going to begin to touch the nut. Then I have a long bolt, and I just hold it in there with a glove. You got your MIG welding gloves or your welding gloves on, and I hold it in there as straight up as I can, and then I weld the nut right into the rest of the weld or into the side of the pipe. It depends on how big around that pipe is and how big your nut is. I just hold it there with welding gloves, and I weld it in real good. I mean, it's that simple. Can you paint them? Yeah, but I would tell you to scuff it up. Maybe like with 220, 320 grit sandpaper. I mean, just give it, like a surface where the paint will grab onto better. I mean, that's what I would do. You can shoot it with a couple of coats. The color's your choice. I mean, yeah, but if you want to paint them, I suppose you could without a problem. No, okay, how are you going to cut these? Well, you can use a hacksaw. But just be careful what you're doing if you want to keep it clean and straight. Some of these you don't have to because they go into other fittings, and it's like saying, who cares? So if you don't want to buy, the PVC cutters because you think they're expensive or something, you don't have to. But it's a very handy tool to have around your house anyway. I mean, for cutting PVC of any kind. But yes, if you didn't want to do it, you could use a miter saw. You could use any kind of a saw, but I'd just tell you just do it by hand. With a hacksaw, you'll go through it fast and easy. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so that's going to wrap it for this. I'm the Home Handyman. Click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I hope you follow me. And we'll keep doing these, and I'll throw up some more as soon as I can. Thank you. You folks have a good day. Bye-bye.